other sectors such as civil works and engineering.
Ebintu bisatu bye tunoonyamu okulaba nti mu mafuta gano agayise ne lwengo tujja kufuniramu employment, abantu abangi bakyogereko wano, ne training.
Now, to make it special in terms of oil and gas operations, I am glad that now at least we've been able to come back with responses, because this was one of the promises that we had made, and we had pledged to come back and explain some of these benefits and ways how the community is going to participate into oil and gas opportunities. And I'm really so glad, and I take my special appreciation to ECOP team and government agencies for coming together to organize this kind of event that has helped to equip the communities, the business people, the leaders with information related to how they can participate into this.
And also there are leaders that seem to be a little bit ahead of their fellows concerning their preparedness, their registration on the national supplier database, and also awareness of what is taking place, and trying to establish locally, even when they have other branches operating in Kampala. Some have tried to set up locally to see that they are on ground and in the community.
And I would like to say that the 4 contracting companies have provided the best they have been able to provide, and they have given us the websites for which we need more information, that we are able to access it. I would have to say that let us come together as people of Chotera, unite our efforts, especially for small businesses. We can make mergers. We come together, we do partnerships in order for us to match with standards of service delivery.
They need to learn about the standards that are required by ECOP. This is the right time. If they need to engage to find out the qualifications required, we've offered all the information on our websites, and all our contractors have been very helpful to provide all the relevant information to make sure that people are ready come 2023, when we actually expect this pipeline to be up and running.
We have been doing these presentations together with our main contractors, who have been also showing the opportunities quantified for all of them. And after that, we have been also handling some group discussion with the people, as surprisingly in Uganda we could see that there is a significant number of farmers within the communities. So we have been grouping farmers together with catering companies in order to see if we can reach the capacity that is necessary to answer to our needs for our main contractors.
The ECOP is a 1,443-kilometer crude oil export pipeline that will transport Uganda's crude oil from Kabale Hoima in Uganda to the Chongoleani Peninsula near Tanga Port in Tanzania. Due to the viscous and waxy nature of Uganda's crude oil, the pipeline will need to be heated along the entire route. The pipeline will be buried to minimize impact on the environment, with some facilities above the ground, designed to ensure minimal environmental and social impact. The project will be compliant with the Ugandan and Tanzanian national legislations and international requirements.
So ECOP itself is a 24-inch buried pipeline, and around that 24 inches of steel there's some insulation, a little bit like on a thermos flask. That insulation has 2 purposes. It keeps the fluid inside the pipeline warm, and it stops that heat being transmitted to the environment outside. So once the pipe is constructed, it will be laid in a trench. The top of the pipe will be about 1 meter below the surface. The topsoil and vegetation will be reinstated. And thereafter, the area will be free for people and animals to walk across, or there'll be no impediment at all to people getting on with their daily lives.
Land is required to construct the ECOP pipeline and related facilities. This land will be acquired within a 30-meter wide right-of-way for construction. The ECOP project, on behalf of the governments of Uganda and Tanzania, is committed to providing fair and adequate compensation for losses due to physical and/or economic displacement, in compliance with national regulations and IFC performance standards.
In total, we are talking about 13,161 project-affected persons. Now, all these, we are ensuring that they are handled in line with Equator Principles, the IFC practices. These payments are being made to project-affected persons in such a way that we ensure that they sign agreements, they are agreeable, and we do it in ways that are respectful to their human rights. We are using evaluations that were made both in Uganda and in Tanzania, approved by the chief government valuers on both sides. These processes are ongoing in both countries.
ECOP has opened bank accounts for all project-affected persons and their spouses at no cost, and compensations are being paid.
Hii zoezi ya leo la kufungua akaunti kwangu mimi ilikuwa muhimu zaidi, kwa sababu pesa yangu ilikuwa hata nikiipata naweza ukampa mtu ambaye anauza duka kuwekee, baadaye nakwambia ile imefanya nini, imepotea.
Mbulira sanyu kubanga kati manye ndino ligenda kukolebwa nange kange ngenda kukafuna.
Mkataba huu tumepewa ili mimi na mke wangu twende tukausome ili kusudi tuchanganue vitu vilivyomo katikati humo. Sasa hapa tunavyotoka hapa tumeshajenga moja hoja. Sawa?
Nesanyuka kubanga bwe nalabyeko ebyo n'ebirala bye nalabyeko. Neneyongera okusanyuka n'enguma. Kubana desi kisuubira.
ECOP encourages all project-affected persons to continue using their land for farming seasonal crops, maintaining houses and other structures until such a time when they have been given notice to vacate. ECOP is committed to the protection of people and the environment and will ensure that health, safety, security, social, economic, and environmental issues are addressed throughout the planning, construction, and operational phases of pipeline operations. The pipeline's route has been selected to avoid the most environmentally sensitive areas like national parks and the high population density areas, including Lake Victoria. ECOP is designed, pressure tested, and monitored along its entire length using a fiber optic cable, and facilities will be carefully located and operated to reduce any potential physical and ecological impacts. East Africa's development as a preferential business hub and the region's remarkable investment flows are largely attributed to the capital investment in the oil, gas, and manufacturing industries, with the respective governments undertaking several multi-billion-dollar projects like the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Project, ECOP.
OBs and OGs, you can always remind yourselves. Today we don't expect any fire drill, but in case you hear of any fire, our PS system will be notifying you. So in case of any fire, we have our assembly ground in the garden. We have these steps which slope down in the lobby. Then you'll be passing through our lobby entrance. Then you go to our, anybody is not feeling well, we have our nurse, hotel nurse, for health assistance. In case you get somebody who is not feeling well, you can go to the reception and we can call our nurse to come and attend. In case we have any smoker around, please don't smoke inside. We have our umbrella down here, going to the speak gate. You pass through the lobby entrance, outside, then you go to the umbrella. Even there are chairs there, you relax. Don't smoke within. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And places of convenience are just also right out there in case you want to have a health break. So today we are privileged to have all of you. I'll introduce myself to you. I'm called Mary Anahabwe and I'm the National Content Manager for ECOP. And with me, we also have a big team from ECOP that is helping to put this forum together. I'd like to recognize you all. We have Ivan, a National Content Reporting Lead. We have Israel, our National Content Capacity Building Lead. And we also have Boniface, who's also National Content Reporting Lead. Thank you, gentlemen. I'd also like to introduce the gentlemen at this table so that you know who to interact with. I'll start with Mr. David Bishop, the familiar face. He's a National Content Manager for Wally. Wally is one of our contractors, like we'll explain to you later on. We've also got Mr. Lawrence Sempaji, the Compliance, ECOP Project Compliance Lead. Thank you so much. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce to you our Deputy Managing Director, Mr. John Bosco Habomugisha. He's also here to grace this day. It's always a pleasure to have our Deputy Managing Director representing here. That shows you how passionate he is and how important this is for ECOP as a project and also for national content in particular. So without taking a lot of more time, I will invite Mr. JB, as we normally call him, to come and welcome you. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
My senior brother would always say, I am greatly honored and exceedingly humbled to have you around. Some of you know who my senior brother is. Our representatives from Petroleum Authority of Uganda, from UNOC, from Wally, from the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, the Association of Oil and Gas Suppliers of Uganda. All of you are our invited business partners, the great ECOP staff, the team that does the work, and I take the credit. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all of you in your capacities, it's always a great honor to speak to a people like you. We continue to work to deliver one of the most important projects in the country. The East African Crude Oil Pipeline. It's a project that is at the heart of the oil and gas sector in terms of ensuring that the oil and gas resources of this country are linked to the international market. If you don't link oil resources to the international market, you don't achieve the maximum value that we seek. So when we talk about value from oil and gas resources, we must also talk about infrastructure. And that is essential to remind us how important the ECOP is to us as business people, but also to Uganda as a country and to East Africa in terms of maximizing value from oil and gas resources within the region. You will recall that the ECOP was set up as a company to build, operate, and ensure that the pipeline delivers these resources to the international market through Tanga. We are working very closely with our friends in Tanzania to ensure that this project is delivered in a safe and efficient manner. We are here because of the national commitments to the national content development, which is enshrined in Regulation 34, and also in the HGA, the Host Government Agreement, the ECOP Act. All these are frameworks that are ensuring that we develop these projects while working with the entire business fraternity. This forum is a way of ensuring that we disseminate project opportunities that are related to supply of goods and services, employment, training opportunities, technology transfer, and capacity building programs to all of us so that we know what participation means. I think we have had this discussion many times. We have talked about national content in a lot of engagements. I want to believe some of you here are already participating in one way or another. We also want to thank CPP for the work so far. I think in this room we might be having Ugandans that are working with CPP as they prepare to present to us what national content means in their space. So if we have any CPP employees that are Ugandans, we'd be happy to know that you are there. Do we have some CPP Ugandans? Yeah, so you can see, before CPP even starts to put equipment on the ground, they have already employed some Ugandans, and we thank you for that. CPP, which is China Petroleum Pipeline, is our main contractor for building the ECOP, 1,443 kilometers length of a pipeline, 24-inch diameter, insulated, buried, all those words which you have heard in the videos already. In addition to a feeder line from Tilenga to Kabalega Industrial Park. We used to say Kabale, but the Banyoro said Kabale is in southwestern Uganda, so are you taking our oil to Kabale? So it's Kabalega Industrial Park. That feeder line is, I think, is 96 kilometers. So we have to ensure that we work together with CPP in a manner that respects the environment, the communities, allows national participation, all of these aspects. And so far so good, working also with the PAU to ensure that we are compliant. So CPP will be working first on above ground installations, what we refer to as AGIs. That's where we are starting. They have already signed that contract, and the main contract for the entire pipeline will also be coming soon. Like any other contractor, CPP has made commitments towards delivering national content. And we have summarized the national content in many forms: employment, supply of goods, services, capacity building, technology transfer, all of those aspects. And I think that's the main reason we are here, to listen to CPP and appreciate how we are working together. The plan is that CPP should be spending in the range of 30% of their contract value in procurement of goods and services from Ugandans through subcontracting of works in their scope, and utilizing any available services in country. So through PAU, one of the things that happens is to verify that what is being brought from outside is actually not available here. And there will be such areas. We'll have to bring in some expertise. Of course, we bring in equipment and other aspects, but we have to show that those elements are not available locally. So as Ugandans, as Ugandan companies, we believe that you have had all the time you need to prepare to exploit these opportunities that are unfolding before you. And you also know that all contractors, including CPP, they are required to follow very transparent procurement procedures, and they're already doing that. I have almost every day I open the newspaper, I see something about CPP or any other company, which is a statement to the transparency of all these procurements. So as the next presentations will be done by CPP, by ourselves. Please open your minds, listen, ask questions, ensure that these things are clarified to you, because CPP is yet to start their early civil works. We already have some work we are doing as ECOP. The pump station 1 early civil works already happening there, and I think there is some other work going on. I don't know whether it's PS2 or main camp 3. We have 2 companies that are actually local Ugandan companies. Pearl Engineering and the Excel Construction are already working to start the early civil works on the pipeline. But you see, before, just not speaking about CPP, you already know that there is work that has been going on. We have built 177 houses for those that were physically displaced by the project. These houses were built by Ugandan companies. We have done land acquisition. The land acquisition in this country has been done by Ugandans. We are now doing livelihood restoration, transitional support. All these are companies that are Ugandan. Of course, the project has been doing transportation, there's security services, there's medical services. Everything that has happened so far has been done by locals. So it is very important to note that where we are as Uganda, there's a lot of national content that is happening. We'll be going into building of camps. To a good extent, that will be done locally. If we need inputs, they'll be brought in. So please have a great discussion, and let's together ensure that whatever is not clear, we clarify before we leave this room, because the next phase is about delivery. I thank you, and we look forward to excellent deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. JB. Those are strong cautions to us as nationals to be ready and prepared. So, like the invitation was, our focus today for this forum will be on CPP. CPP, I would like to introduce you. I may not spell or pronounce all your names properly, but I'll at the opt-in time, I'll ask the person leading to introduce his team. So these are the contractors for the above the ground installations, like they'll show us today in their presentations, and the pipeline. So wouldn't want to take a lot of time doing presentations, but I'll just give highlights about national content as a whole so that you get to understand where we are coming from and why we're here, as before we introduce CPP to come and give their presentation. We have given ample time to CPP to make sure that they explain exactly what they want us to do, supply them. So take the opportunity to ask, to clarify. By the time you leave here, be very confident that you think you can meet their requirements, yeah? Let me have my slide here, please. So like I said, us as national content, we have an obligation to make sure that we work with the contractors that we do have to deliver on their commitments. Let me have the slides up. Thank you. Okay. So national content has a broader vision as a nation, as a country of Uganda, to promote economic development and national industrialization, to implement an industrial development plan, capitalize on the development phase, to build capacity of the local companies and Ugandan citizens. So that's the broader vision of national content that is well spelled out in the regulations, in the HGS and other frameworks that we do work with. And the key pillars are to make sure that from this project, ECOP project, a number of employment opportunities are provided to our Ugandans, because that's one way that will enhance economic development. Make sure that the people that are working on this project are trained and skilled, and also to ensure that anything that can be procured in country, the goods and services that can be obtained locally, are obtained here. And this is the whole point why we are here today, to make sure that we develop the capacity of the suppliers to reach the extent or the to be at the level that they're able to deliver these goods and services. And also the third pillar is the capacity building and technology transfer, like has been explained. So today's focus will be mostly on goods and services, where we're going to hear a little bit more on what CPP has. Priority, like I've said, is given to available local services and local goods on an open tendering process. This project makes sure that there is transparency in the procurement processes, and it is enforced to the tier 1 contractors and tier 2 contractors. Every contract they sign must have an element or an obligation to make sure that they do advertise. You'll see in almost every newspaper coming out, you'll see EOIs. These are the expression of interest. Please be keen to read and see if it fits within something that you can deliver on. And also, we are keen to make sure that we impact or we engage the local communities. When we say the community content, we are referring to those specific areas where these activities will be happening, especially for the pipeline. We'll be talking about the 10 districts where the pipeline will flow all through. We are a bit intentional to make sure that those people that are affected or are close proximity with the pipeline do have benefits. They do benefits a bit more if they are able to. So that is also one of our focus. I also need to mention that when you submit your bids, your tender, 10% of the technical evaluation is always focused on local content. I'll speak a little bit more on this because I'm mostly involved in evaluating bids, and I always see people don't focus on this. But remember, whenever you don't focus on how you're going to deliver your national content, you do lose out to your competition by 10%. We also talk about reserved contracts, or the ring-fenced contracts for Ugandan citizens. These have been carved out in our regulations and must be delivered by Ugandan companies. You must have heard about these, but I want to emphasize and make sure that by the time we leave here, you know which are those services or those goods that are ring-fenced. That's a whole list up there, right from transportation, security, foods and beverages, hotel accommodation and catering, human resource management, and the rest. The whole list is there. So those items are definitely reserved for Ugandan companies. And this is the same information that all our contractors get to know, and they should or they cannot dare, I would say, give them to any other company unless it's a Ugandan company. But they are not limited to this. Well, these are reserved, but priority, like I highlighted earlier, is always given to Ugandan companies, be it reserved or not. However, when we find that there is no in-country capacity, then they have the opportunity or the leeway to proceed and engage with other suppliers all over the region or international markets to get the project going, definitely. Otherwise, we'll not deliver on the time. Okay. Now what's up here? Let's do another slide. Okay. Sorry. So the next slide I wanted to show you is who are the main contractors that we do have as ECOP so far. Okay. Technology can be a trick at times. I need help. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's it. So that slide just gives an overview of who the ECOP main contractors are, the ones we refer to as tier 1 contractors. We have ECOP up there, and together we have a number of main contractors. We have Wally. You must have heard more about Wally, and we have very good representation here in the room with David. Wally is our EPCMC, or Engineering, Procurement and Construction Management and Commissioning contractor. They work so closely with ECOP And they do have a number of procurements they do on behalf of ECOP and give oversight on a number of things. So we work so closely with ECOP on this project, and they have that package to deliver. So we also have on the other side, this side, you see some of the contractors who may not even set foot in this country, but they also do have national content commitments. The 3 pillars I talked about. They may not procure goods from you directly, but they have an obligation to contribute to training, to capacity building, and we follow up with them on that. On that front, we have suppliers of the line pipes, we have suppliers of thermal insulation services. These are based in Tanzania. We have the EITS, that is electrical instrumentation, telecommunication and security. In the previous videos, you must have seen them there presenting. We have suppliers, so providers for logistics, the main logistics contractors, that is AGL, African Global Logistics. Then we also have suppliers for the long lead items that are mostly procured through Wally and delivered to us. So all of those do have commitments and national content. But the ones that you'll be seeing in country, how we have most of the parts by CPP, that is the contractor who's doing the above ground installation and the pipeline construction. We're going to be holding more of these forums with CPP, like you'll see, more engagement, because they have the biggest share of the contracts overall. So definitely they'll have a lot more of commitments in national content. And this is not just the first, and it will not be the last. So you'll be seeing more of them, and the earlier we start being close and engaging to understand and follow them, the better. So we also have early civil works contractors that our managing director has talked about, which are also in the reserved category, that are already ongoing. So that's how the contracting strategy lays out, and the main contractors that we're working with currently. And the last slide is basically talking about all these contractors you're going to see they need all these services, these and many more. So what is our call today? What are we communicating today? We can talk and talk and talk, but we have to act. Sit back and ask yourselves, how many EOIs have you participated in, and how many have you even gotten contracts awarded to you? And if not, sit and ask yourself why. I've worked longer in procurement. Actually, my profession is procurement, and I have practiced procurement. And even now, I do have visibility of the bids that you do submit. But what we find out is people don't follow instructions. You put out a tender, we want A, B, C, D, and someone gives you E, F, G. So when you're doing your evaluation, you will not even waste time. You'll not even waste time on that. You put aside. So let's be very keen. Hire professionals in your companies, people who are keen to follow what is required, people who understand that a bid, a tender is carried this way. And I'm sure our contractors will talk more about it, the frustrations that they've had. You must have seen some of the works being re-advertised. Why? They've checked the market. Nobody's giving them a good bid that they want. And they come and say, Marian, we're going to buy from China. And you say, no, wait a minute, let's try again. Let's give people another opportunity. So that's why we're here. Us as ECOP, we have an obligation or a role to pass on information as part of supplier development. But the biggest part is on you and your companies to make sure that you are ready. You are ready. Don't let the bids to be done by anybody, Know what I mean? People may think anyone can do procurement. No, let's have do the tendering process profession, at least move to the next level of the call for tender, or let you be knocked out because your prices are not favorable, but not on the technical, that is not good. So ladies and gentlemen, with just those few remarks, I would like to invite our contractors who have the biggest part of the time today. I'll invite Mr. Mathieu, who will take away the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marian. Our bosses from the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company, ECOP, led by the usual suspect, Dr. Gebi. Our friends from Wali, led by David Bishop. I've seen members from the Oil and Gas Association of Uganda, led by Dennis. We also expect the Petroleum Authority to be in-house, the business community, ladies and gentlemen. A good morning to you all. My name is Mathieu Bagatia. I'm working as a national content lead for CPP. And today with me, I have the whole team from CPP led by the project manager, Mr. Luo. I would request to inconvenience you, maybe to stand up and wave to the audience. CPP team. I also have Mr. Wang Fung, National Content and Social Manager for Uganda. We have Mr. Yang Zo, Procurement Manager for Uganda. We have Mr. Zo Vicent, National Content and Social Site. We also have Mr. Yuan Jin from the Procurement Department, and Mr. Ian Asimwe is the Procurement Officer for China Petroleum Pipeline. Today, basically, we are here to present before you the procurement opportunities associated with the above-the-ground installations and pipeline construction. Well aware that CPP is the contractor for the pipeline from Kabalega Industrial Park. I need to take a note of this now. It is a new terminology. Up to Tanga. What I would like to emphasize that our project in Uganda will commence from the CPF facility in Bulisa for 96 kilometers down to Kabalega Industrial Park in Hoima to join the export pipeline that traverses the 10 districts of Uganda from Hoima up to Chotera. And that will also come with other associated works, like the Deputy ED has shared the above-the-ground installations. We have 2 above-the-ground installations in Uganda at the Kabalega Industrial Park and the one at Injaza in the Sembabule district. There's something unique about Sembabule. There are so many things that are going to take place there, and we have shared before, but I don't mind sharing again. Sembabule is one district in Uganda that has got a camp, that has got a pump station, and at the same time a helipad. So at the conclusion of this project, we expect a lot of transformation in Sembabule as well as other districts aligned with the National Content Regulations and the National Content Act. I will take you briefly through the brief history of CPP, what CPP has done and what has been able to do in other markets across the globe. We have built over 100,000 kilometers of onshore pipeline projects and over 200 kilometers of offshore pipeline projects. And these 200 include the recent project we just completed in Tanzania, the Mtwara Dar es Salaam gas pipeline. And we have done over 30 million cubic meters of storage facilities for oil and gas and over 100 field surface facilities. Let alone that, we also have interests in liquefied natural gas processing and receiving terminals. We also do mini refineries, operation and maintenance, telecommunication, and power projects. I would like to assure the gathering and our bosses from ECOP that given our experience, we are determined to deliver the ECOP project on time and the required standards, and we want to do this with you, the Ugandan entities and Ugandan individuals. So our clarion call to you is let us get on board and work together, well aware that some of the things have been reserved for us, the Ugandans, deliberately by the governing regime. Our scope, as I had shared earlier, traverses from Telenga at the CPF for 96 kilometers down to Kabalega Industrial Park, and thereafter 296 kilometers up to Mutukula. And this is all going to be a 24-inch barred pipeline, at the same time insulated, and with facilities spread along the pipeline. For enabling the execution of the project, we have 4 camps on the main export crude oil pipeline located at Kasambia in Kakumilo. We have one at Lungala in Mubende, Kabayola in Sembabule, and Navigasa in Chotera district. At the same time, we have the AGI stations in Hoima district and also in Sembabule district. And we expect to do this oil project in a span of only 24 months. So time is of essence. And the purpose of this conference is to make you prepared such that when we get rolling, we are all moving at the same pace, because we have a time factor. At the end of the day, the main objective of this project is to have the oil flowing and exported to the international market such that the governments can recoup the investment they are doing. But how shall we be able to participate? One, every company participating in the oil and gas project in Uganda is mandated to be registered to the National Supplier Database of the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. I'm glad to report that the NSD list is having many Ugandan entities, but I'm also alive to the fact that there are able companies that could supply to this project that are not yet registered and still belong to the Thomas Group. Is there still oil? So this is heartening, but it is a fact. Some people are still asking such questions, yet other people have already worked on these projects. Then, as subcontractors, you are also required to comply with the national content regulations where applicable, and also have your TRAP submitted to us. If in any case you are going to use an expatriate in your scope, then you have to have a TRAP in place submitted to the main contractor. Then we shall also expect you to submit quarterly procurement forecasts and reports to us as the main contractor, because we are required to do the same to ECOP and at the same time the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. Lastly, every speaker who has spoken before me has said every time they open papers, they are seeing adverts from CPP, from Wale, Europe, from Schneider and Snef, from Borore. Please, where you have interest, participate as and when you see those expressions of interest published in the media. Adhere to the procurement process. It will not be possible for you to join midway, because once we have set off, that opportunity will have gone, and many have passed really. But what is again is annoying to me, a Ugandan working with an international oil company, sometimes these adverts expire and the people call you, why didn't you tell us? Let us be vigilant, let us grab the opportunities as and when they come. We are still making efforts to bring you on board, but we also have timelines. The government was deliberate and put in place legal regimes for us to partake of this cake. With those comments, I would like to welcome Ian. Ian will be taking you through the opportunities for this conference today, because it is kind of a dedicated and focused conference for particular items. So he will be sharing you. Ian, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Matia. I would like to thank everyone for having come to this forum, the ECOP team, the OLE team, the PAU team that are here, the business people, our suppliers, or service providers, and last but not least, our team from CPP, for taking time to come to this forum to understand what's going on. Like my colleague said, we've been hearing about Eco project for years, and people have been waiting. And people have been thinking, actually, this project is not going to take place. But as we see now, something is taking place. Like we all know, the project is beginning soon. I want to take you through some of the opportunities available, most especially in this early stage of the project. Like my colleague said, Marian, we shall be having several of these forums in times to come, and we shall be presenting opportunities as we go on to execute the project. So this time I will first give a few highlights on how we intend to follow the guidelines, the procurement guidelines as CPP, the main contractor. We have our bosses, we have the regulators here that are following us to make sure that we do the right procurement process throughout this project. And I promise to ECOP, PAU, and other organizations here that CPP intends to carry out the transparent procurement process as we are being monitored throughout this project. Then I would also like to request all the business people here, our suppliers or service providers that intend to work with the CPP in this project, please always make sure you register your companies under Petroleum Authority of Uganda. We have some people from, some representatives from PAU here. After the meeting, please, you can always contact them or get their contacts before you leave this place, and they can always follow you. They can always help you on how to register your companies. They can give you the guidelines on how to register the companies. And it's not only the registration, there is also the classification, because we've seen so many companies that are registered there but are not classified. And sometimes when we are doing pre-qualification, we get some issues with some suppliers. They tell us we've taken part, but you've not included us in the short list because of this and that. And sometimes it's because you're not classified at the PAU website. So please follow up with the PAU so that you classified after registration. Then I would also encourage the service providers that are here, or the business people that intend to work with us. We always issue the EOIs in the newspapers, both New Vision and Daily Monitor. And I would encourage each and everyone. I understand some people don't like, they don't have the habit of reading newspapers maybe every day. And that's how you find yourselves losing out. You find some suppliers, they have the capacity to provide the service or goods, but the only problem is they missed out because they didn't see the chance coming. They don't check the newspapers. We've had so many calls at our office of some suppliers complaining. We didn't see the EOI in the newspapers. What can we do? And to be honest, once the EOI has already passed and the submission deadline has already passed, there's nothing much CPP can do. So we encourage you to always check the newspapers regularly. And the other point, CPP is ready to support the local content plan. As my colleagues said, we intend to give the contracts to the locals or Ugandans that have the capacity to supply or provide certain services where possible, unless we only confirm that certain services or supplies cannot be provided by Ugandan suppliers due to technical capabilities or maybe financial capabilities. But otherwise, CPP intends to support the national content program. Before I continue with the presentation, I had noted a few remarks that I want to first highlight. Then also on the EOIs, once CPP has, we always make the supplier database as CPP, leave alone the one that is for PAU. We also compile suppliers that have the qualification as CPP. We create the database for those suppliers. So if there is any supplier that intends to work with us, and maybe they don't regularly check the newspapers, we have some suppliers that have registered with us. They give us the profiles of their companies, and we put them in our system. Sometimes whenever the service comes up or any supply, we inform them by email or by calls if they have not seen the opportunities coming. Okay, I will go through the presentation on the guidance on how to participate in the procurement process. As you can see the presentation, the first step is the issuing EOI in the newspapers. As I earlier said, we only issue in New Vision and Daily Monitor. Please don't check any other newspapers apart from those two. And after issuing those EOIs, we give time to the suppliers. We give them a time of at least 2 weeks or even more to prepare the documents that they need to supply. And we always also have the the time we give them for clarification before submitting any other document. We also organize clarification meetings at our offices in case there is any inquiries or anything that a supplier may not understand, which is in the newspapers or in the process of submission. We always hold meetings at our office to give clear clarification on how to submit, so that by the time we submit, we are doing the pre-qualification, we are clear on all the suppliers are clear on what they submitted. Usually in our EOIs, we give the guidelines on how the suppliers can follow the submission stages. We don't give a full process in the newspapers, but we always refer the suppliers to check the ECOP website where the details are. And in the ECOP website, there is always a questionnaire. Usually after issuing the EOI, it takes like a few days, like 2 or 3 days, to reflect on the ECOP, the advert reflect on the ECOP website. Sometimes I get calls after we've published in the newspapers the next day. Some suppliers are complaining, I've checked on ECOP website, but I don't see the link. I don't see the advert there. So sometimes you have to be patient for 2 to 3 days for the advert to reflect on the ECOP website. And on the ECOP website is where you find the details, including the questionnaire, where you have to put all the company details requested, and some templates that you need to fill to submit together with the questionnaire and other documents. So when we receive the fully filled questionnaires and the documents, we have a committee, a selection committee that go through all the documents or that were submitted by different participants, and we come out with a short list of suppliers that we feel are capable of supplying or providing the service advertised. And usually for suppliers that don't go through this stage, our procurement team always they let them know on reasons why they have not passed through this stage or they have failed, so that they don't keep calling and asking how far is the process. So once the pre-qualification process has ended, we inform the suppliers, the participants that didn't go through, and we also inform the participants that went through that stage and were pre-qualified. And we always have the pre-qualification report that we prepare as a procurement team. On that team, we don't only have the procurement team, we also have the local content team as part of the selection team that for suppliers. So after the report, we issue the call for tender to the shortlisted suppliers that went through the first stage of pre-qualification. We prepare the bid documents and send all the suppliers. We give them time to prepare both technical and commercial bids. And usually before they submit, like in the first stage, we also have the pre-bid meetings or clarification meetings that we hold with suppliers where required that have any inquiries they need to make, so that they submit when they know everything is clear. So once we receive all the submissions of both commercial and technical bids, the same committee go through the submissions and select the final supplier, or we award the contract to the final person. But throughout this process, we follow the right guidelines and principles which we are put up in place by ECOP and PAU. We also follow our internal procedures as CPP, procurement process, but not forgetting the guidelines and the principles from PAU and ECOP. And most important, the suppliers who want to participate in these tenders, they always have to have we make sure they have the capacity. And through this, we request for a lot of documents, like the supplier national data, the registration form on NSD, the company registration certificate, the tax clearance certificates, finance statements, proof of design and capacity, supply capacity, quality assurance, quality control certificates for certain services or certain goods or equipment, proof of bank credit. This is to regulate suppliers that may not have the capacity for certain services in this field. Hold on, please. Sorry? Maybe Marian, you can help me here. Just hold on. Okay.
We have
It's okay.
given all the guidance about the procurement process. So I think it's time we can start out the question and answer question and answer step. And
No,
later we,
later.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we still have more information on the procurement process. During the whole construction process, the procurement package are divided into installation materials, which mean the materials will be used or put into pipeline, and above ground installations. The other part is the construction consumables, consumable materials. So regarding this part, we have strict technical requirements that have provided the approved vendor list in order to ensure the pipeline and AGF facilities will be operated and performed smoothly and steadily. So the suppliers who are going to participate in these procurement packages must provide the manufacturer's authorization letter. This is important because we've had issues where some suppliers are saying they don't have the authorization letter or they don't have ISOs, but we always encourage the suppliers or the service providers to get the authorization letter from the manufacturers. This is to promise and prove that they can provide the required quality guarantee or assurance and after sales service from the manufacturer. So the supplier should commit to getting the manufacturer's authorization letter. So vendors' requirements, like I'd said before, must provide the manufacturer's letter. The supplier or the service provider must have experience in the oil and gas. But for the 5 years requirement, it should be for the manufacturer. For the supplier, as long as you have experience in oil and gas or in supply of certain service or goods, it is okay. But a manufacturer must have at least 5 years experience in the oil and gas. And the compliance with the Petroleum Midstream National Content Regulation should be followed. For suppliers that take part in the EOI or in the tenders, please, you advised for this, come up with how you plan to support the national content or the local content program on the on the structure of your company, how you plan to employ the Ugandans or the locals, so that you go through this stage without any disturbances. This is very important. Then for the ISO certificates, as you see, they are also important, but if you don't have as a supplier, please always get from the manufacturer. The key procurement terms that are included in the framework contract are payment terms, payment methods, which is TT, transfer or letter of credit. Then the advance payment, which is 5 to 10% of the total contract amount. Then any other clauses of the contract shall be negotiated with the contractor or the subcontractor when the time comes for the services. So here are some of the goods and services that are coming up in the next 2 months, which is September to October. The equipment rental, including trucks, buses, and those are the numbers of the buses: 9 seats, 23 seats, 33 seats, and 20 to 30 ton excavator, 25 ton, 50 ton, and 200 ton wheeled crane for hiring. The EOI has been issued. It was issued actually recently and still running. For those who didn't get a chance to check in the newspapers, you can check now. The EOI is still running and has not yet expired, so you can take part and submit before the deadline. Then the next item is the 16-ton telehandler hiring, then 10-ton forklift, which can go inside the 40-feet container, then the mobile warehouse with tarpaulin. The size is 15 by 15 meters. The lifting materials and tools, including suspension bar, 15 ton, 2.5 meter. The sling for lifting, 10 ton of 10 meter. Sling of 5 ton, 12 meters. And the hook of 10 ton, 5 ton, and 4 ton. Then there is also steel wire rope of 10 ton, of 10 meters, and others. We have the PPEs, the firefighting extinguishers, and the temporary warehouse hiring, especially in the areas of Hoima for the beginning and around Sembabure near Camp 3. So these are just a few of the goods and services that are coming up in the next 2 months, not the whole project. Other services and goods will increase gradually as the project go on. These are just for next 2 months. We also have the lifting materials and tools, including suspension bar of 15 ton, which is 2.5 meter. The sling of 5 ton, 12 meter, hook Then we also have the steel products: angle steel, channel steel, steel plate, steel bars, steel pipes, and others. We also have electric materials like battery, LED light sockets, cables, and many others. Then office materials like printers, printing papers, notebooks, pens, and other small things that are not mentioned here. We also have the diesel, hydraulic oil, and other lubricants that will be required at this early stage of the project. Then the construction materials like sand, soil, and concrete, plus others that are not mentioned here. Then also the catering appliances, the kitchen equipment, and the canteen equipment for the camps that we are going to begin with. We also have the excavators. These are the detailed information of the excavators, 20 to 30 ton. Up around January, we shall have at least need to mobilize 16 excavators, but these for CPP as a contractor. In case more excavators are needed or more equipments, the subcontractors will also mobilize more equipment following the guidelines of CPP and PAU and ECOP. The operating time is less than 1,000 hours. Then provide the service and maintain record and log books available in the last 6 months. For the equipment hire companies, these are the requirements that you have to follow. And but for the part of the maintenance record, service and maintenance, this is only for the second-hand equipment. Then equipment has to be inspected and certified by professional third-party agencies. We have many third-party agencies in Uganda that do check, inspect, and certify these equipments before they are deployed to work. But this is also for the second-hand equipment. But for the new equipment also, we shall make sure they are in good working condition. Then also report certification. They have to be valid. In case the certifications have been they have expired, you have to keep renewing them so that they are valid. Then the OSHA certificate also has to be, it's very important, it has to be provided. And the declaration of conformity. Now this is for crane truck of 12 ton, and it should be four-wheel drive. For this, we plan to mobilize 8 by November. Like I said before, if they are not enough, then the subcontractors will be required to mobilize more under the guidance of CPP. The running time is also 1,000 hours, and the total mileage should be less than 10,000 kilometers. Like excavators, they should also have the service and maintenance logbooks for the previous 6 months. And the inspection also should be done. There should be a certificate by inspection company or third-party company that does inspection and certification. Then the OSHA certificate should be also submitted, and the declaration of conformity. This is the repetition of what we said, so we don't spend much time on this. So for wheeled crane, we plan to mobilize 6 of 25 ton, and 2 of 50 ton, and 1 of 200 ton, all needed by May of 2024. The requirements are same as excavators, like I mentioned. And these are some of the slings and shackles that should be used in lifting of heavy equipment. I've seen some suppliers that have contacted us before that deal in this. So if there is any other supplier also, please feel free to contact us on this. So for Matia, 1 minute, please. The other part was take a break. Eh?
We have two sessions, so we shall have a Q and A session now, then take a break and do the last session. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I requested him to sit. We have two sessions for CPP's presentation because they have different things they are looking at. So for us to internalize, they've given us really a lot of information. I hope you are taking notes, and our online audience as well. I know you're watching us. Please write in the chats your comments or your questions. I will take them and try to explain a little bit more. Thank you very much. So before we do a Q&A session, I'd like to recognize a few people who have just joined us. That's our regulators, Petroleum Authority of Uganda. They're here. You're most welcome. And at an opportune time, we'll give you a slot to speak to our suppliers today. I'd also like to recognize and to honor the presence of the chairman for the Association of Uganda Oil and Gas Suppliers, who is also here with us, the executive director, and this is Professor. Professor, you're most welcome. And I would like to give you just a few minutes to just say hello to the people, introduce yourself, and then we'll go into the Q&A session. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Charles Kwesiga, substantively the Executive Director of Uganda Industrial Research Institute, and also I have the honor and privilege to be chairman of Oil and Gas Service Providers Association. And I would encourage all those people who aspire or are involved in providing services for the oil sector to join that association. A lot of things that I was hearing from the previous speaker. When you put something in the newspapers, unless it is Sudoku, I'm very unlikely to read it. I just have that attitude about our newspapers. And so I'm not surprised that people don't get to see such advertisements. But through organizations like UGOS, we can coordinate the dissemination of information so that you all get to know. And so that's one strong incentive to belong to such an organization. My vice chairman, who does most of the legwork, Dennis, thank you for the hard work. And I am an industrial engineer by profession. And I should have retired some years back. But every time I plan to retire, I worry that my efforts will go into flames in a short time. So I stick around. I hope you can understand what I'm talking about. My experience again with oil and gas. In March 2009, on advice of the President, the Minister of Education appointed me to chair a task force for establishment of Uganda Petroleum Institute, March 2009. And the marching orders were that I must develop skilled manpower for the operations of oil. And they assured me that within 3 years, we would be in production. 14 years later, we are still planning production. The experience I had at that time was rather daunting. For example, and I started the first task force. After one field visit, I disbanded it. Because these guys' interests were very different from what I thought we were supposed to be doing. Most of them, the interest was allowances, no ideas. Then, that was March. Then in about July, we had a high-level site visit to Chigumba to see where we are going to build this magnificent project. After that, things started moving a little, but then in October, I had a task force meeting, and people from the education sector who are part of the task force, every time they said anything, it was to say, this can't be done. So I said, so if this can't be done, why are we here? So I wrote a memo to the minister. I said, I quit. Say, no, don't do this. So he changed the TORs. I came back. And by March, we recruited the first cohort of students. And we moved on, but a lot of challenges. I then forged a collaboration with our people from Trinidad and Tobago, who have excelled at utilization of their oil and gas. And they have run a phenomenally good job. And so I started taking students there for the apprenticeship. And now I look back, some of those who did apprenticeship in Trinidad and Tobago, they had now some are working for Baker Hughes and Schlumberger. The current crop of students, they are now going to, they go to this sugar works, Chinyara Sugar Works or something, to do industrial training, which is focusing on technology development and providing platforms for apprenticeships, especially for technicians and engineers. And it's doing we are moving in leaps and bounds. And I invite any or all of you at your convenient time, come and visit and see what Uganda is doing. Already we have some of those people at Chigumba coming to do training there. especially in welding. Now, for a pipeline, one of the most important skills needed is welding. The global experience has been, there are a few disasters that have happened with pipelines because of bad transmission facility of the materials. And so we have a known, for example, we have training and testing using non-destructive tests here in Kampala. So you're welcome to come and share that experience with us. I thank PAU. You'll forgive me, I am not in tune with a lot of acronyms. I get lost. You know, when the gentleman was talking CPP, my mind was, what is CPP? And then there's power, and then there's EOIs, and then there's a lot of acronyms. But that confusion notwithstanding, I would like to make sure that we get together, complement the efforts of PAU. That one I know. Let's address the issues of skills of technology development, skills of alignment of efforts. I get some people come from Nigeria and say, I want to collaborate with you. I provide, I train people in oil and gas. I say, exactly what aspect of oil and gas? So everything. I say, that's not possible. You need specialize. But so we have a lot of, finally, when the opportunities like what we have ahead of us coming in, you are going to have a lot of people talking about the subject, but totally, and you can categorize them. There are those who speak because they have something to say. There are those who speak because they have to say something. There are also those who are very knowledgeable but are not interested in sharing. There are those who are trying very hard to share, but they have nothing to share. So the enthusiasm and the knowledge matrix is very interesting. What we need are champions, people who know and care. I thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Professor. Yeah, you could hear words of wisdom from a professor. And I'm sure we've all taken note. So we're going to have about 5 questions. Let's pick 3 questions from the room, and then we'll take 2 questions that have been asked by the online people as well. Then we'll take a tea break. During the tea break, you feel free. The team is here. They've carried, CPP has carried the whole office here today. So we'll have lots of engagement. Then we come into the second session. And at the end of the second session, there is even a longer time for questions and answers session. So keep your questions noted. We want to dedicate this time to make sure that we do engage and provide answers and clarity on the things that you really want to know. So Ivan, please will take us through the Q&A session. You put up your hand, they give you a microphone, you ask. Those are 2 so far. And then the team will be here to respond. Thank you very much.
I think as they walk to the people in the room, let's have a quick start with the YouTube team. There's a question from Dutch Edwin. Hi, will there be opportunities for Ugandan entities who are into corrosion protection? I think this is to CPP. Then you can note it down. Then the other one, what is CPP's plan for training locals, and to what standards are they planning to train to international accreditation, and where? Then the last one, Mr. Ian Asimwe, sir, will you be sharing your presentation when you're done? This is from Fortune Agomo. Kindly note them down and you will be able to respond to them. Let's have the other 3 questions from the room.
Thank you. My name is Dennis Kamarasi from the Association of Uganda Oil and Gas Service Providers, as has been mentioned. I listened to the presentation, I think from Ian. Thank you very much for that. But there is one thing that wasn't addressed. Maybe he could talk about it. And it was the issue, it wasn't an issue, but it's the subject of invoice payment. Our experience with our members and some of the other clients that we've been servicing, payment has come up as a big problem, where invoices take so long to be paid. A lot of these Ugandan companies are still starting, so if you keep a company unpaid for very long, it has far-reaching implications. So maybe, what is the policy on invoice payments from CPP? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next. Please, let's try to have a spread of the room as well. Let's not have only one table. But you can ask your question.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Tadewa Liganyira. I represent Head and Engineering Solutions Limited. My question goes to Ian. He talked about being shortlisted in their supplier database for CPP. I would like some guidance on how we can be shortlisted in that. And on the addition of his presentation, there was an issue of clarifications for companies which are registered under NSD. I don't know whether he's in a position to reply this or it is the PAO representative. Assuming a company has been shortlisted but is not yet clarified, what are some of the procedures the company should do so that it can be clarified as a Ugandan or not? Thank you.
Okay, so those are 2 questions. Let's have one more.
Thank you so much. I'm Joshua from Med Technical Services, Electrical and Civil Contractors. I also have a question for Ian. You mentioned about a challenge of contractors not being selected because they are not classified within the nature of services that they do. So my question is that isn't there a way of developing a database to notify the contractors concerning whether they have been classified in regards to their status of being classified? Thank you so much.
CPP, please come and take the floor and respond to the questions. We have one question for PAU. They will answer just after CPP. Thank you.
Good morning, Aaron. Good morning, and we received some questions, so here we explain to everyone. For the first questions, they're talking about the corrosion protection, some opportunities for that. So we explained is we have some works on site for the coating the pipe in the AGI, some pump stations. So there are some we need to employ some local people working with us for that coating, painting. And also on site, for the pipeline, there are some joint. After welding, we need the coating for them. So we will also employ some local staffs working with our coating teams for that works. And for the materials, we will have the UI on the newspaper, and you can find them. And for this materials, it's a special requirement. And you can also, if you have the interest, you can send an email to us later. At the end of this presentation, you can find the contact information. Or after this section, we had a break. You can also find us to get the contact information. Then you submit your questions, want to clear, and our people will be answered to you by the email immediately. So you can understand what this materials requirement is. And I think for the payment, the invoice, what processing. So normally for CP, when we submit the invoice to ECOP, then we need 45 working days from ECOP to review our invoice. If they are approved, we can get the payment from ECOP. Then we will need another 15 working days to complete our own processing. After that, you'll be get your payment. So normally, we can see minimum will be around 3 months from you submit the invoice to us, then till you get the payment. I'm sorry, this is according to our management processing. We want to make everything correct, and then you can get the payment correct. So this is the period for the payment. And any others, I think Ian will be explained to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wang. Someone asked if I can share the presentation after this meeting. I think in the break time, whoever wants the presentation can share the email address to me, and we shall share the presentation after here. And someone asked about the supplier database we are making as CPP, leaving alone the one for PAU. We also do supplier database for suppliers that approach us, and we put their profiles in the system. And there's someone who asked us about how they can be registered on our supplier database. So after here, you can also share the company profile and other documents, so that we can include you in the CPP supplier database for future consideration. And someone else asked about the classification. I think, as I said earlier, we have some representatives from PAU. You can use the break time to approach them and get more information on how, if you've registered, you can get more information on how your company can be classified. I think I will leave that to PAU representatives that are here. Then also someone asked about training of the local staff. In the execution of the project, we have some experts that we are hiring, for example, in the field of welding and other fields, and we shall be conducting trainings in our camps or in our workplaces for local staff to improve their skills at the end of this project. So CPP plans to go on with this system, whereby our experts we are hiring from outside Uganda where we don't have those experts in Uganda, like welding experts. They will have to transfer the knowledge to our local staff in the company so that they improve in those skills. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. First of all, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Mushere, and I'm now acting manager for the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, National Content Aspects. There are some questions that have come in terms of the National Supplier Database, and I would like to clarify on them. The first is the issue of classification. First of all, for you to provide goods and services in the oil and gas sector, you have to be registered on the database. Now, along the way, when the system was being developed, there was a general registration for everyone. But you remember the government put in place the local content laws to protect and provide some advantage for local companies. But as you put up laws, people are also becoming sharper to bypass them. So if you have 16 ring-fenced services and you're protecting them for Ugandan companies, we found that the intended beneficiaries were not now being the beneficiaries because people were incorporating, getting their cleaners and giving them shares, and sign backdoor agreements, and they implement the contract. And those happened many. So we started observing this happening. So the authority decided now to go in and undertake physical verification to ensure that this company is actually local. So we visit, ask for records, ask for where payments are done. We look at management and control of the company before you're classified. Now that has created a bit of a backlog because we have over 2,500 companies registered and others applying. So we have now employed more people and to verify quickly as many companies as possible. But in the interim, if you are in the procurement process, and we've asked ECOP and all licensees and contractors, and there is a company where it is still pending verification, drop an email so that it is given priority, because out of the 2,500, not all of them are active. So we want to be able to verify the companies quickly. So drop an email and then you're classified. This is for the benefit of local content, because what is out there is actually not sometimes local content. The second is the categorization on the service that you do. One of the things we want to avoid in the sector is brokerage. And you know, in most institutions, the person says, what job is there? I am able to do it. You don't have a specialization. They tell you, supply water, you're there. Do construction, you're there. Setting up a CPF, you're there. So we have an element of companies believing they can do everything. So we have gone now to also doing that verification to actually categorize on what do you do, because we don't want the element of brokerage. We want the real people doing the real work to get the real service. So forgive us when it takes time, but we are here. Our lines are open. Our emails are open. We want to deliver the real local content and not the imaginary one. So we thank you. If you have delayed, please, I have a colleague here, Mr. Jasim Chwanuka, please, if you could stand up. Myself are here. We have emails. We'll make sure if your company is in that category, we'll work on it and expedite it. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. James, for that clarity, because we always get lots of questions in that area, and I hope that is clear. I wanted also to add on the aspect of the presentations. Don't worry about these presentations. We're going to upload them on the ECOP website. So once we are done, at least by close of today, we're going to have all this presentation on our website. You can go and download and relook at them. So we're going to take a health break, coffee break, and then we should be back within 10 minutes, Ivan? 10 minutes for the second session. Thank you. The coffee area is right behind you there.
Discussion is about national content. How do you participate in this project at community level? And the teams are here to explain that to you, because indeed one of the most important things is compliance to standards. So how do you ensure that you participate? And sometimes it takes a group of investors or farmers coming together and working with someone who has fully understood the standards of the industry in the things we call joint ventures.
At least I had to try. We come here because we want to show you which are the real opportunities, so number of jobs for each of the contractors. And be sure that for our main contractors, it is a priority for them to take people from here.
Badde musomo guno gubadde mulungi gumu ebyokuyiga era tusaba Mukama Katonda yatuleetera amafuta ne gayitako essembabule. Tuyambiddwa nnyo ffe ng'abamu abatuze b'essembabule naddala abalimi n'abalunzi, kubanga pulojekiti eno egenda kutuganyula nnyo naddala mu bye tukola mu kulunda, mu kulima, ebyokulya ffe bijja kufuna akatale. Era omusomo gubadde guyigiriza nnyo twongere ku standard zaffe mu bye tukola naddala mu by'obulimi n'obulunzi.
We are happy to be here to present you the opportunities and to invite you to attend and to ask us as many questions as you wish, so that you have a possibility to capture some of these opportunities that we're going to present.
The people actually understand what ECOP is about, and they're very expectant for what is to come out. So it's quite interesting to let them know what opportunities are available so that they can align themselves with some of these opportunities, because the opportunities might overwhelm them if they don't prepare. So this engagement has spoken to that, and we hope that with this engagement they will be able to upscale and be able to grow. As Bolloré, we are more interested in the logistics, but particularly the drivers. We had a very good outcome in the communities that in each of the districts we went to, there were drivers, and they came with driver's licenses, they came with CVs, which was very exciting.
The sessions are so far going very well. We've had good attendance. Most of the potential suppliers who are coming in are within the agricultural sector, the catering services, as well as people who are looking at logistics opportunities, the drivers, people with logistics companies, and a few people who are coming from other sectors such as civil works and engineering.
Ebintu bisatu bye tunoonyamu okulaba nti mu mafuta gano agayise ne Lwengo tujja kufuniramu employment, abantu abangi bakyogeddeko wano, ne training.
Now, to make it special in terms of oil and gas operations, I am glad that now at least we've been able to come back with responses, because this was one of the promises that we had made, and we had pledged to come back and explain some of these benefits and ways how the community is going to participate into oil and gas opportunities. And I'm really so glad, and I take my special appreciation to ECOP team and government agencies for coming together to organize this kind of event that has helped to equip the communities, the business people, the leaders with information related to how they can participate into this.
And also, there are leaders that seem to be a little bit ahead of their fellows concerning their preparedness, their registration on the national supplier database, and also awareness of what is taking place and trying to establish locally, even when they have other branches operating in Kampala. Some have tried to set up locally to see that they are on ground and in the community.
And I would like to say that the 4 contracting companies have provided the best they have been able to provide, and they have given us the websites for which we need more information, that we are able to access it. I would have to say that let us come together as people of Chotera, unite our efforts, especially for small businesses. We can make mergers. We come together, we do partnerships in order for us to match with standards of service delivery.
They need to learn about the standards that are required by ECOP. This is the right time. If they need to engage to find out the qualifications required, we've offered all the information on our websites, and all our contractors have been very helpful to provide all the relevant information to make sure that people are ready come 2023, when we actually expect this pipeline to be up and running.
We have been doing these presentations together with our main contractors, who have been also showing the opportunities quantified for all of them. And after that, we have been also handling some group discussion with the people, as surprisingly in Uganda we could see that there is a significant number of farmers within the communities. So we have been grouping farmers together with catering companies in order to see if we can reach the capacity that is necessary to answer to our needs for our main contractors.
The ECOP is a 1,443-kilometer crude oil export pipeline that will transport Uganda's crude oil from Kabale Hoima in Uganda to the Chongoleani Peninsula near Tanga Port in Tanzania. Due to the viscous and waxy nature of Uganda's crude oil, the pipeline will need to be heated along the entire route. The pipeline will be buried to minimize impact on the environment, with some facilities above the ground, designed to ensure minimal environmental and social impact. The project will be compliant with the Ugandan and Tanzanian national legislations and international requirements.
So ECOP itself is a 24-inch buried pipeline, and around that 24 inches of steel there's some insulation, a little bit like on a thermos flask. That insulation has 2 purposes. It keeps the fluid inside the pipeline warm, and it stops that heat being transmitted to the environment outside. So once the pipe is constructed, it will be laid in a trench. The top of the pipe will be about 1 meter below the surface. The topsoil and vegetation will be reinstated, and thereafter the area will be free for people and animals to walk across, or there'll be no impediment at all to people getting on with their daily lives.
Land is required to construct the ECOP pipeline and related facilities. This land will be acquired within 30-meter wide right-of-way for construction. The ECOP project, on behalf of the governments of Uganda and Tanzania, is committed to providing fair and adequate compensation for losses due to physical and/or economic displacement, in compliance with national regulations and IFC performance standards.
In total, we are talking about 13,161 project-affected persons. Now, all these, we are ensuring that they are handled in line with Equator Principles, the IFC practices. These payments are being made to project-affected persons in such a way that we ensure that they sign agreements, they are agreeable, and we do it in ways that are respectful to their human rights. We are using evaluations that were made both in Uganda and in Tanzania, approved by the chief government valuers on both sides. These processes are ongoing in both countries.
ECOP has opened bank accounts for all project-affected persons and their spouses at no cost, and compensations are being paid.
Hili zoezi ya leo la kufungua akaunti kwangu mimi ilikuwa muhimu zaidi, kwa sababu pesa yangu ilikuwa hata nikiipata naweza ukampa mtu ambaye anauza duka kuwekee, baadaye nakwambia ile imefanya nini, imepotea.
Mbulira sanyu kubanga kati manye ndino ligenda kukolebwa nange kange ngenda ukafuna.
Mkataba huu tumepewa ili mimi na mke wangu twende tukausome ili kusudi tuchanganue vitu vilivyomo katikati humo. Sasa hapa tunavyotoka hapa tumeshajenga moja hoja. Sawa?
Nesanyuka kubanga bwe nalabyeko ebyo n'ebirala bye nalabyeko. Nineyongera okusanyuka n'enguma. Kubana desi kisuubira.
ECOP encourages all project-affected persons to continue using their land for farming seasonal crops, maintaining houses and other structures until such a time when they have been given notice to vacate. ECOP is committed to the protection of people and the environment and will ensure that health, safety, security, social, economic, and environmental issues are addressed throughout the planning, construction, and operational phases of pipeline operations. The pipeline's route has been selected to avoid the most environmentally sensitive areas like national parks and the high population density areas, including Lake Victoria. ECOP is designed, pressure tested, and monitored along its entire length using a fiber optic cable, and facilities will be carefully located and operated to reduce any potential physical and ecological impacts. East Africa's development as a preferential business hub and the region's remarkable investment flows are largely attributed to the capital investment in the oil, gas, and manufacturing industries, with the respective governments undertaking several multi-billion-dollar projects like the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Project, ECOP.
The construction sequence. The survey crew carefully surveys and stakes the right-of-way. Grading is conducted to provide a level surface for construction crews. Topsoil is stockpiled on the right-of-way boundary. A wheel ditcher or backhoe is utilized to form the trench. Stringing ensures that each piece of pipe is positioned accurately for the next phase. If needed, the pipe will be bent to accommodate elevation or horizontal changes. The welding crew weld each section of pipe together into one continuous length. The survey crew records data regarding the length of the assembled pipeline. For quality control, technicians inspect the welds using non-destructive testing. Each joint is coated by a coating head and then inspected. Installation of electric heat traced and fiber optic cables. The side booms move together to ease the pipe into the trench. The pipe trench is backfilled utilizing pad fill and overburden. Hydro testing ensures pipe integrity and that it is fit for service. The pipe trench and the associated land within the construction zone are contoured and revegetated. The restoration leaves a typical operational right-of-way.
The ECOP is a 1,443-kilometer crude oil export pipeline. that will transport Uganda's crude oil from Kabale Hoima in Uganda to the Chongoleani Peninsula near Tanga Port in Tanzania. Due to the viscous and waxy nature of Uganda's crude oil, the pipeline will need to be heated along the entire route. The pipeline will be buried to minimize impact on the environment, with some facilities above the ground, designed to ensure minimal environmental and social impact. The project will be compliant with the Ugandan and Tanzanian national legislations and international requirements.
So ECOP itself is a 24-inch buried pipeline, and around that 24 inches of steel there's some insulation, a little bit like on a thermos flask. That insulation has two purposes. It keeps the fluid inside the pipeline warm, and it stops that heat being transmitted to the environment outside. So once the pipe is constructed, it will be laid in a trench. The top of the pipe will be about 1 meter below the surface. The topsoil and vegetation will be reinstated. And thereafter, the area will be free for people and animals to walk across, or there'll be no impediment at all to people getting on with their daily lives.
Land is required to construct the ECOP pipeline and related facilities. This land will be acquired within a 30-meter wide right-of-way for construction. The ECOP project, on behalf of the governments of Uganda and Tanzania, is committed to providing fair and adequate compensation for losses due to physical and/or economic displacement, in compliance with national regulations and IFC performance standards.
In total, we are talking about 13,161 project-affected persons. Now, all these, we are ensuring that they are handled in line with Equator Principles, the IFC practices. These payments are being made to project-affected persons in such a way that we ensure that they sign agreements, they are agreeable, and we do it in ways that are respectful to their human rights. We are using evaluations that were made both in Uganda and in Tanzania, approved by the chief government valuers on both sides. These processes are ongoing in both countries.
ECOP has opened bank accounts for all project-affected persons and their spouses at no cost, and compensations are being paid.
Hili zoezi ya leo la kufungua akaunti kwangu mimi kwa muhimu zaidi, kwa sababu pesa yangu ilikuwa hata nikiipata naweza ukampa mtu ambaye anauza duka kuwekee, baadaye nakwambia ile imefanya nini, imepotea.
Mbulira sanyu kubanga kati manye ndino ligenda kukolebwa nange kange ngenda ukafuna.
Mkataba huu tumepewa ili mimi na mke wangu twende tukausome ili kusudi tuchanganue vitu vilivyomo katikati huko. Sasa hapa tunavyotoka hapa tumeshajenga moja hoja. Sawa?
Nesanyuka kubanga bwe nalabyeko ebyo n'ebirala bye nalabyeko. Neneyongera okusanyuka n'enguma. Kubana desi kisuubira.
ECOP encourages all project-affected persons to continue using their land for farming seasonal crops, maintaining houses and other structures until such a time when they have been given notice to vacate. ECOP is committed to the protection of people and the environment and will ensure that health, safety, security, social, economic, and environmental issues are addressed throughout the planning, construction, and operational phases of pipeline operations. The pipeline's route has been selected to avoid the most environmentally sensitive areas like national parks and the high population density areas, including Lake Victoria. ECOP is designed, pressure tested, and monitored along its entire length using a fiber optic cable, and facilities will be carefully located and operated to reduce any potential physical and ecological impacts. East Africa's development as a preferential business hub and the region's remarkable investment flows are largely attributed to the capital investment in the oil, gas, and manufacturing industries, with the respective governments undertaking several multi-billion-dollar projects like the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Project, ECOP.
The construction sequence. The survey crew carefully surveys and stakes the right-of-way. Grading is conducted to provide a level surface for construction crews. Topsoil is stockpiled on the right-of-way boundary. A wheel ditcher, or backhoe, is utilized to form the trench. Stringing ensures that each piece of pipe is positioned accurately for the next phase. If needed, the pipe will be bent to accommodate elevation or horizontal changes.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The welding
I would
crew
like to
weld
invite you
each
back to
section
your
of pipe together into one continuous length. The survey crew records data regarding the length of the assembled pipeline. For quality control, technicians inspect the welds using non-destructive testing. Each joint is coated by a coating head and
Hello, please, let's get back to our seats. We need to get back to our program for the day. Feel free to carry your cup of tea, your cup of coffee with you so that we can redeem some time, please. Thank you. Ian, please get ready with your presentation. We want to resume. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to our seats. The next session is more technical, so you need to be very alert and settled so that we can benefit from this. Thank you. Ian, you can take on the floor. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Let's have seats and we on with our presentation. I think this thing has a problem. I don't know. It keeps going back and jumping pages. Let's go back on the go back. The middle one, Okay. Okay, so let's go on with the presentation. The next part is for the electrical bulk materials that we plan to purchase for the project in the coming few months. And for this part, I understand we don't only have the bulk electrical material suppliers here, we also have other service providers. So we shall not waste much time on this because there are so much details, especially the technical details. So I won't go through all the technical details. I will just mention I just highlight the main items. So these are some of the cable detail technical requirements. Okay, so there is the multiple pair and people we are requested to keep quiet because I've been told there are some people who are attending online. So if we make noise, the people online won't be able to listen carefully. And also, in case there is anyone who wants to take the pictures of the presentation, please feel free. You can tell me to slow down so that you can take the photos of the presentation. Okay, some of the, as I mentioned, for electrical bulk materials, there are so much details, especially the technical details. I won't go much into explaining the technical details, and I will just mention the commodities, the specific items that we want. In future, if there is this EOI is out, or there is someone who needs to take part, the technical details will be attached as well, and we can discuss further during that time of the clarification. So the first item is the multiple pair Ultrand instrument cable. The cable suppliers, I'm sure you understand these items very well, actually more than us who are not technical persons. Then there is also single or thermocouple extension cables, and those are the conductors details, the primary insulation details, the pair shield drain wire, and outer jacket technical specifications. These are more specifications on that same item, so I want to go through these items one by one. Another one, very important, is RS485 communication cable, and those are the details. This page also is the more details of the other page. If you need to read through, please let me know, but since the content is much, I will share the information, or you can take the picture. Then the next one is outdoor single mode fiber optic cables. We shall need those ones as well. Those are the details below. You can see how too technical they are, so we shall share the information. Here we have items like sorry. Under this we have the main important points. We have the outer jackets explanation, the number of fibers between buildings, the number of fibers to field device, the numbers are there. Then the operating wavelength. Then the core diameter, the cladding diameter, attenuation, dispersion, fiber identification, the details, the fiber protection, water protection, and frame retardancy, smoke emission. All the requirements are there as stated. Then the armor protection, and the color of the outer sheath, and the tensile strength, the compression strength, and typical minimum bending radius. The other item is indoor single mode fiber optic cable. It has quite similar characteristics like the one I mentioned before. And the coaxial cable, these are the details, these are the table of the technical details of this item. Please, you will forgive us if we don't explain everything. As you can see, it's too much detailed. We shall share the information, or the suppliers that will take part in this. We'll have the clarification meeting with our technical personnel to get more information on these technical requirements. And the other important item is the welding socket outlets. The type is mentioned, the closure IP rating, the type of protection, the requirement is there, the gasket, terminal, and cable entries. These are the requirements that the suppliers shall be following to submit their technical proposals. Then there is also 3-phase socket outlets. The details are there. Outdoor stroke field sockets. Also, the details are quite similar than like what I mentioned before. Then there is also outdoor field junction boxes and terminal boxes. There is one electrical company that approached me in the break time, and they deal much in these things. I hope you can take part in this. Then conduits and fittings. Then we also have earthing bars and earth electrodes. Then we also have cable trays and ladders. Cable trays and ladders, still the more requirements or more details of this item. Then the cable glands. So most importantly for electricals, it was just a go through to know the main items. I want to explain further on the porta cabins that you are going to need, which are quite actually more urgent before we do any other construction of infrastructures. We are going to need to start with this. So this is very important for suppliers that that need to take part in the supply of these items, the porta cabins. These are some of the details with the light steel structure design, production, installation, and contracting qualifications. So if you want to take part in this, the supplier must produce the designs of these items, the installation plan, and contracting qualification documents. Then also quality assurance and quality control certifications, especially ISOs, as you can see on the presentation. Then the production technology and process to meet the national standard of light steel structure. Then the project host country specific design plan, providing economic and suitable solution in reference with the local climate, social and economic conditions, including but not limited to insulation, drainage, pest control, rodent control, and others. So for these porta cabins, they have to be in places that are free from, for example, rodents. Then the pest control, how to manage the pest control, and we have to make sure they are not damaged by rain or wind. So for the suppliers that intend to take part in this, you have to take into consideration of these requirements. Then the design drawings or the architecture drawings, the structure, water supply, drainage, strong electricity, and general layout has to be provided as well. Design specifications and standards for each specialty, and provide the corresponding design list, the equipment for installation of building, doors, windows, ceiling, decoration, power supply, water supply and drainage, sanitary ware, furniture and household appliances, and fire alarm system should be provided. So the design should include the strategy on how to put in place all these items mentioned here. Then the design service lifespan is 15 years for these porta cabins. Then bidders need to provide structural calculation documents and others to ensure the safety and durability of these porta cabins, in the coastal areas where high temperature, high corrosion, and high wind frequency occurs. These are the specifications or the requirement of the roof of those porta cabins. The roof is a double slope. The slope is not less than 1.15. The house adopts completely detachable structure roof waterproof system. After the house is installed, the outer roof is not exposed to nails without other waterproof treatment and can achieve good waterproof performance. So this basically is the requirement on the roofing of those porta cabins. Then we have the wall board requirements on the sides. Double-sided white, thickness not less than 75 millimeters. Then the glass fiber wool or rock, wool color steel sandwich composite board. The board is filled with the not more than 50 kgs stroke and thermal insulation glass fiber wool of 60 kg. Thermal insulation rock wool plate need to be connected in the form of a joint. Color steel thickness not less than 0.5 or 0.5 millimeters. Galvanized plus coating and other anti-rot materials with same level to achieve good corrosion resistance. The performance of the board should meet the corresponding national standards. And these are the requirements for the roof board. The white inside and red outside. The thickness should not be less than 100 millimeters. Then the glass fiber rock and rock wool. These are more similar than what I just mentioned. Then the structural requirements. That's the requirement, and it should be hot dip galvanized. The standard is not less than 150 grams plus finishing coat and other anti-rot materials with same level to achieve good corrosion resistance. Safety performance, provide the structural accounting statement. The performance should meet the corresponding national standards which are set. Then these are the specifications or the specifications on doors. Accommodation, single stroke double opening steel doors. Steel plate thickness not less than 1.0 millimeters. Need to be equipped with door closers. Then camp office and room entrance doors. Steel doors, steel plate thickness not less than 1.0 millimeters. Need to be equipped with the door closers as well. And for windows, plastic steel double glass casement window, glass thickness of 5 plus 9 plus 5 millimeters, conch profile with steel lining to ensure no deformation and discoloration under high temperature. High corrosion and strong light with the window screen with 90% shading fabric curtain. For ceiling, except for product builds such as warehouse, workshop, and substations, all the living buildings shall be equipped with the ceiling, the high quality durable water resistant ceiling should be equipped to the restroom, bathroom, kitchen, and laundry. Other rooms should be equipped with the mino wool acoustic panel. The performance of the sink should meet the corresponding set national standards as well. And this is a structural requirement. The material should not be lower than, I don't know what is Q235 means, but maybe our technical person will clarify more on that. And hot galvanized, as I had mentioned earlier, this is quite similar than like what I mentioned earlier. All the distribution board in building shall provide residual current device. And these are the requirements for roof board. We had mentioned something quite similar to this. Now this is the last part of the presentation for water treatment package. Regarding this service, this is the objective or the purpose: to ensure water purification process and equipment can ensure that the treated water meet the national potable water quality specifications where camp located, and the World Health Organization 2022 guidelines for drinking water quality. And this is the purification and supply system, the process of the supply system. Then the process for camps using well water. After being treated by the descender in the water tank and treatment area of camp, the deep well water is stored in the raw water tanks, and then it is treated by purification package and stored in the potable water tanks. Afterwards, it is pumped and distributed to the water consumption points by the variable frequency water supply skid and the pipe network. A device shall be installed to prevent bacterial growth in the freshwater tank, and the UV sterilizers shall be provided on the pumped water manifold. The water purification process shall be finalized based on the raw water quality, roughly including pre-treatment and reverse osmosis treatment. And this is the diagram, the process for purifying the camp water, for especially the well water. I want to go through the detail of this. Still on the water purification and supply system, for service providers that deal in water purification, I think you have more knowledge on what I'm talking about, and even maybe having more knowledge since you're too technical than I am. So I won't go much into this. Some other important points I need to talk about was what I forgot to talk about previously. I want to first give you the details of the contact. So these are some of the few key points to consider. We had earlier mentioned about the process of EOIs, the newspapers and daily, especially New Vision and Daily Monitor, and that is you can take a picture of the link, the ECOP link, where you can get the details of the EOIs. And as I mentioned, it does not reflect on the ECOP website immediately after publishing in the newspapers. It might take 2 to 3 days, so you have to keep checking. Then the other important point is submit the complete documents, required documents, then the payment period, Someone asked about the payment period, and Mr. Wang, I think, mentioned that. Then the experience, like I mentioned, the suppliers have to be experienced in the oil and gas. And for the manufacturers, they have to have at least more than 5 years of experience in oil and gas. And please note the manufacturer's authorization or commitment letter is very important in the amongst the documents that we shall require. If you don't have supporting document for this specific item as a supplier, please contact your manufacturer if you're the representative. For example, in Uganda, and you can contact him for the, or contact them for the authorization letter to support your documents or your submitted documents and others. So these are the contacts that you can contact us on. The address is Plot 19, Luthuli Drive, Bugolobi. We've recently, some people have been going to our old office in Kololo, but this is our new address. The website is there, and that is my email address. You can contact me. The first number is mine, and it's also on WhatsApp. Then the second number is for my colleague, Mr. Jawe, so you can contact us anytime for any inquiries or more information. So something else I wanted to mention before I forget, we didn't mention about, we mentioned about excavators, but there is one special excavator that we are looking for. We don't know if it's available in Uganda. We try to make a research, but it's becoming hard. It's the wetland excavators. So if there is any source of this kind of excavators that anyone here might have information, please let us know. And I think that is it. It's the wetland excavator or swamp excavator. It's different from these normal excavators. I think it's also termed as, is it amphibious excavators? Yeah, okay. So in case you have any sources of this kind of excavators, please let us know. Thank you very much for listening. We shall take another session of questions, I think, and our team is willing to answer where necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CPP team. Thank you, Ian. Like I'd warned you, this session is very technical, so we're assuming that people in the room understand this language. And in case you don't, then you will go to the team and seek more clarity. But again, your eyes will be sent. If you feel this is your field, you continue and participate and engage with them. Their contacts are right there. And so now we're going to take a few questions again regarding this session or anything else that you think you still needed some clarity from the previous session. They will be able to respond. Then right after the sessions, we'll have some closing remarks from our regulators. They need to wrap this up, and we'll go into a lunch break where you continue with the networking session. So I want to invite some more questions. Ivan, where you need to take some more questions. Hands up. Okay, looks like everyone has understood. Eh? Yes, please.
Good morning, everyone. I am called Rashid Mzee from Bamze Engineering Company. My question would be like, number one, there is something to do with experience. I did not clearly understand whether I had experience from the local content or the supplier whom I'm dealing with, because 5 years of experience in the oil and gas means all the local contents are out due to the new venture in Uganda. The second point here is, why don't you normally invite URA to understand the business terms of the ECOP group? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you. I'm Lieutenant Kato, Water Industries Limited. My question is about the maintenance services. After construction, do you intend to offer contracts to people who can maintain the line and the equipment that you shall be using? Thank you, because if it's possible, we can enter that. Thank you so much.
Do we have any other questions? Okay. If there are no more questions, I think I'm the one who's going to give you questions. Let's have answers to the questions that have been asked so far. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, CPP. I'll also invite David Bishop from Wally to respond to the question of maintenance. Thank you.
Hello. When we're talking the experience, it's especially for the manufacturer. When they provide the products, they should understand the requirement and easy can let them follow us, because we can't with them to understand our standard, the projects going on. So we need to catch on our schedule. So that's why we're talking about this experience about the manufacturer. They should have more than 5 years about the oil and gas project. So they can be easy understand what we want, and they can easily provide the goods to us. So this is the experience. And I think we're talking about the UI processing. The UI is not only you send interest letter to us, also with some qualification documents. So during the UI, we will checking your qualification if you can be provide good service to us. If you have some special certificate or something, and if you have a relationship with the manufacturer, this manufacturer will be provide the goods to you and on time. And also this manufacturer will be provide the service after they selling these goods to us. So this is during the UI we'll be checking. After at the end of the UI we will have a short list. This short list will be used for call for tender. So please make sure your prepared documents is correct according to our requirement. So that will be let you easy to get in our short list. Then later you will get the tender documents. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to add more a bit on the EOI, is what we expression of interest is your ordinary pre-qualification, if you may take it like that. So there is the list of the basic, really basic information that you must have as a company. So you just write a letter and say, yes, I would like to participate, but just follow. If they want A, B, C, D, provide it, and then more details will be availed to you or requested at the next stage, which is the call for tender. You'll always hear all these words, EOI, CFT, so that is what it's all about. So let me invite David to take this away.
Okay, it's just afternoon, so good afternoon. In answer to the question about maintenance, this forum is for CPP who are engaged to build the actual pipeline. This is the construction phase. Therefore, CPP will not be involved in maintaining. The maintenance contracts will be sorted out when the pipeline goes into operation. But it must be said that any local company that has been involved in building the pipeline is in a really good position to bid in for maintenance contracts. But they are not being thought about at this moment. That's going to be much further down the line. So there's more work coming in the future. But you're right. There will be a demand for maintenance services when the pipeline is running. Okay.
Yeah, so we are talking about the construction phase now, and like David rightly put it, there's going to be another phase of operation phase, and then that's when the maintenance services and the rest will come in. Someone asked about why we are not inviting URA. We'll take this as feedback. I think our next forums will invite them, but I also know that in the forums that are normally done by PAU, we've had sessions where URA have a whole session to talk about how they do deal with issues related to oil and gas, but we've taken this away as well. We can always have a session when they're here, if this is a need, so that they can clarify more so that we know what we are dealing with. Thank you. If there are no any other questions in the room, please allow me to invite James. James is has already introduced himself. He's from PAU, our regulators, and I'm sure he has something to tell us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Good afternoon once again. I bring greetings from the Executive Director of the PAU, Mr. Ernest Rubondo, and the entire staff. There are few things that I was asked to highlight. One of them is to thank ECOP and CPP for organizing this supplier conference or workshop. We must give them a big round of applause. We know it's a legal or regulatory requirement, but the willingness to do it is also another thing. So we thank them. And also would like to congratulate the people in the room. If you are to go by sectors, I don't think there is any sector that calls people and puts them in the room and tells them about these opportunities. When you're out there, if it's in roads, you're just looking out for newspapers or adverts. So to be in this room, I must congratulate you and thank you for coming, and to also highlight the kind of the opportunities you have. The oil and gas sector, Professor Kwesiga has left, has now actually started. If you've not been to the oil fields, if you've not been to Hoima, Bulisa, then you don't know what's happening. It's actually started. Currently, it has over 12,000 people directly employed as things are going on. So the past period of waiting for activities is done. And the big companies are here. CPP is one of the, I think it's the biggest pipeline company in the world. You're seated with its officials in this same room telling you about opportunities. That's how big it is. You're seated with the head of the project and the head of the East African region, Mr. Louis. Thank you for coming, and your team. And you as a local company, you have the opportunity to participate in a pipeline business, which is about $4 billion, which is also the biggest project I think Uganda has had, because Karuma is about 2.3. So it's a great opportunity for you as a business. Number two, the opportunities have been shared transparently. And I must emphasize that they are on the website. These that have been shared today are the ones that were not yet shared on the website, but they're also going there if they are not yet there. So go to the website, look out for those opportunities, and put in and interact with these companies one-on-one. The authority is doing its best to ensure that locals participate by ring fencing some works, by making a national content commitment. We're in the middle of discussions with ECOP and CPP to make sure that this is what we have agreed that will go to Ugandans. And one of the information aspects is these forums, that we know what you're able to do. That will be a template that we'll use to make sure that you get these contracts. No one is going to say, oh, the moment they are there for Ugandans, they will be advertised and you'll have an equal opportunity or chance. I encourage the companies to go in for the works they are able to do. I mentioned earlier, the element of brokerage or doing everything is not possible in oil and gas. Go for the work you're going to do and do it very well. We have companies already in the fields doing great work at Tilenga and Kingfisher. But there are also companies who are also letting us down. The moment you push local, he goes there, he goes to business as usual. In oil and gas, it's not business as usual. It's exceptional business. Now, when you let us down, then the companies come and say, oh, you have pushed for local content. Look at what's happened. This company is now failing. We are behind schedule. First oil is not coming. So as you go in, give it your best and push. We encourage the contractors and the main companies, CPP, McDermott, please look into the following issues. One, the welfare of your workers. We are getting reports that are beginning to disturb the project. So please, welfare of your workers prioritized. And this also goes to manpower firms. And if this is not sorted, there are consequences that will happen, whether they register you or something. So CPP, as you come, ensure welfare of workers is taken care of, and also good remuneration and employing of Ugandans. We encourage you to also look into the payment terms. Companies are struggling for 90 to 120 days. I had my friend mentioning 90 days, and I quietly asked the GM that please look at shortening that period. And she said she's also going to talk to ECOP, so that in payment you also shorten the period. Because companies are beginning to struggle, they are getting finances, and we take about 4 months, 5 months to pay, and we find them sinking. We don't want the industry to leave sinking companies. We want the industry to leave flourishing companies. So please look into that, the payment periods. If there are any challenges, the Petroleum Authority is here to guide, to support, to help. We have our offices in Entebbe, our officers are on ground, and we are willing to work with you. There are associations like August and the Chamber of Mines I think both the heads are here. I don't know Mr. Humphrey. I saw him here. Mr. Kamuras is here. Work with those associations to voice your views, especially where you feel that when you say something and maybe it's going to be used against you in the procurement. Work through the associations so that they bring your voice and we see how to solve it. Lastly, the project is on. It's $15 billion. The authority has approved $7 billion worth of contracts. They are continuing to come. The opportunities are not only at tier 1. Do not say I am going to be a total ECOP employee, contractor. They are also at tier 2 and at tier 3. You can be a subcontractor of CPP, and someone also becomes your subcontractor. So don't focus at only CPP. Someone in here could be the next business opportunity for you. If there is a company that's going to be subcontracted for civils, you could be the one to provide the trucks or supply the fuel. So even in this room, the opportunities are amongst you. The money has been approved. The projects have started. The opportunities are plenty. Please take advantage of them. Lastly, avoid being used. We've seen more elements of commission agents. Because you've gotten a Uganda status, instead of doing the work, you sell the contract. Or you get someone else gets workers, like I mentioned, cleaners, and take some shares. Please stand on the patriotic ground of achieving local content. We want to make a difference in the oil and gas sector, so that make sure that this project leaves lasting value to Uganda. I thank you very much, and I wish you a wonderful stay.
Wow, thank you very much, James. Those are deep, deep words, and I'm sure we've all taken notes. And we are glad that you came. We seem to have come to an end of this session. We are free to interact. Like James said, the next business opportunity could be in this room. We are going to network as we give you lunch coupons. Lunch coupons will be going around. Then will be directed to where you'll have your meal, and departure is at leisure. I want to thank you once again that you've honored our invitation. And those who are joining in online, we do appreciate you so much. And if there are any comments online, be rest assured we're going to look at them and respond to you individually. Otherwise, have a great afternoon. Thank you.
As is the norm,
the construction sequence.
Request, I think, almost everyone to come to the front, and we have a group photo. Thank you. The camera people, please, you can set us up, and we have the photo. CPP, Chamber of Mines, PAU, August, and ECOP, and the rest of the suppliers. Thank you.
The construction sequence.
Photography team, please help set us up.
The survey crew carefully surveys and stakes the right-of-way. Grading is conducted to provide a level surface for construction crews. Topsoil is stockpiled on the right-of-way boundary. A wheel ditcher, or backhoe, is utilized to form the trench. Stringing ensures that each piece of pipe is positioned accurately for the next phase. If needed, the pipe will be bent to accommodate elevation or horizontal changes. The welding crew weld each section of pipe together into one continuous length. The survey crew records data regarding the length of the assembled pipeline. For quality control, technicians inspect the welds using non-destructive testing. Each joint is coated by a coating head and then inspected. Installation of electric heat traced and fiber optic cables. The side booms move together to ease the pipe into the trench. The pipe trench is backfilled utilizing pad fill and overburden. Hydro testing ensures pipe integrity and that it is fit for service. The pipe trench and the associated land within the construction zone are contoured and revegetated. The restoration leaves a typical operational right-of-way. In 2006, commercial quantities of oil were confirmed to exist in the Lake Albert Basin in Uganda. The oil companies in Uganda,
Total Energies
and CNOOC, completed the exploration phase and are now headed into development. The Tilenga project is operated by
Total Energies
and the Kingfisher operated by CNOOC. Once produced, part of the crude oil will be refined in Uganda to supply the local market, and part will be exported to the international market. The export to the international market will be through an export crude oil pipeline. The East African Crude Oil Pipeline